Hey Shrikopaths, Otzi's time has finally come. She was a fan favorite at the release of the game because of her kit, but quickly enough people realized she wasn't quite working the way she was intended, so she was eventually benched. But with the most recent update, which many know for the Arashan buff, but there were also a number of other buffs and fixes that some may not have realized, one of those being Otzi. She no longer hamstrings your entire team just by bringing her along. It's great. I'm Shrike, like, comment, and subscribe for more gacha content. Oh, and I've just created my very own Discord, and everybody is welcome. As long as you've got a love for gacha games, or even just one of the games I cover, I think you'll have a nice time. Link will be in the description. I hope to see you there. Let's dive right into her build. As for marks, the game recommends Outstanding Herbalist and River of Oblivion for more anomaly damage, but I'm using Outstanding Herbalist, Golden Branch, and Shining Star. So the reason for Golden Branch instead of River of Oblivion is to build up the anomaly faster, but it's a trade-off, either works, faster build-up or more damage. This is the setup I have, and with mainly Anomaly Mastery as the stats. She builds it up very fast, and so using her as a Thunder Anomaly unit is a decent plan. She serves the debuffer role, but since accuracy isn't a thing in the game, feel free to put the rest of her stats into damage. Crit rate and crit damage are solid choices. At the moment I've got a mix of offensive stats, but as I get more marks I'll be phasing the pierce and thunder damage out and replacing them with crit rate and crit damage, or even attack. The reason for this is because it's what's recommended in the Discord, and also I don't have the marks to test out both this and the thunder build. Yeah, the other way to build her is with Anomaly Mastery and thunder damage. It sounds like it could be really powerful. Her kit is actually packed full of ways to take advantage of her own debuffs, so she deals a respectable amount of damage herself. And her exclusive weapon is great. It grants her more Anomaly Mastery and a team-wide attack boost, as well as reduces the enemy resistance to lightning by 4%, albeit conditionally. So as for her skill kit, her basic attack does a strange Arashan dash back thing, but unlike her, I can't find a use for that in the rest of her kit. It's not part of her ideal rotation unless I'm missing something. So yeah, probably just ignore that. Her skill 1 bombards the enemy with drones, and after some time they will explode on their own. Or you can also just hit it again to make it explode early. I've found that you get more damage and anomaly buildup if you let it explode on its own though, with one caveat I'll get to in the combat section. Both of these though, the bombardment and the explosion, while dealing enhanced damage, also gives the enemy an arrow wound mark. And if the second stage, the explosion, hits an enemy that has suppressive fire, very important to her kit, it'll deal double the damage. So as you can see, she is designed to do damage as well as provide an outrageous amount of debuffs. Skill 2 is a big blast that deals more damage if the enemy has arrow wound. Remember that thing you get from skill 1? Her ultimate just deals a ton of damage at its base, but there is a talent that will give it more utility. The passive now. This is where it gets really interesting. It's both simple and very convoluted. It basically says that all her skills build up this gauge like many units do, but hers won't be in the skill orb at the bottom right or at the very bottom like with Li Che, because it's on the enemy, so it's harder to measure. But all her attacks build it up, and when it's full, the enemy enters the suppressive fire state I mentioned. This is the state you want them in. It's everything her kit is working towards. Basically think of it like you're filling these enemies with holes, and eventually they're just Swiss cheese, and there's nowhere left to make a hole. That's suppressive fire. And that's all the passive does on its own, but her whole kit builds off of it. Notable talents are 1 and 5. 1 gives the ultimate the ability to reduce the enemy's lightning resistance by 10% for 15 seconds. Talent 5 says that enemies under suppressive fire, there it is again, get their attack and defense both reduced by 10%. Notable potentials, number 1 and number 5. Number 1 says that enemies under the arrow wound effect, from skill 1, also get their damage resistance reduced by 10% for 5 seconds. It's not a lot, and you'll likely not have time to swap out at that point, so it's really just to make the second half of her rotation hit harder. And 5 says that her attack goes up for every 100 anomaly mastery she has, but caps at 600. More than that will still benefit her, but not from this effect. Skill priority, as you may guess, goes directly to passive. That controls how much damage resistance the enemy loses. The rest are purely damage boosts, so after passive, feel free to pick whichever you want. Just save basic and combo for last. Combat. Alright, I was truly befuddled by how complex this girl is. I ended up having to write out everything in her kit that affected everything else in her kit on paper just to understand it. There's so much going on, but I'll try and simplify it for you. So the idea is to get them into the Swiss cheese mode, suppressive fire mode, which all her skills can accumulate, some better than others. Here's her basic rotation. Start with a skill 1 and don't blow it early. Let it explode on its own. Right away you'll see a symbol above them and a curved bar. The symbol is the arrow wound and the bar is the Swiss cheese bar. That's what you want to fill up. Watch that closely. Assuming you have her fully talented and duped, once you hit the skill 1 button once, the enemy gets damage resistance reduction for 5 seconds. But the drone will explode on its own after 3, so you won't miss out on the buff if you wait. Once it does explode though, you can hit skill 2 to do a big blast. This will do more damage since the enemy has arrow wound, that symbol above their heads, remember? The bar won't be full yet though, so skill 1 again. At this point they should be in full Swiss cheese mode. The bar should be filled up, and at this point it will start vibrating all crazy like. Now that enemy has reduced attack and defense, reduced lightning resistance, and overall damage resistance reduction, as well as your whole team gets an attack buff. Some of these things are timed, so now you'll want to smash that drone down on them and swap out. So this is the caveat I mentioned at the start. This is the only time you really want to explode it manually. Because if the enemy has Swiss cheese, and if you explode skill 1 manually, it doubles the damage. And so you can fit it right in there just before you swap out for a chunk of damage at the last moment. And remember that her ultimate now gives enemies lightning resistance reduction for a bit. So if you're using her with Licha, get in the habit of ulting right after the drone smash, but right before you swap to him. Let's recap. Ignoring all those effects, it boils down to skill 1, wait for it to explode, skill 2. Skill 1 again should fill up the gauge and immediately smash it down, then swap. Skill 1, wait, skill 2, skill 1, swap. Everything else will happen in the background, but it is a lot that happens in the background. Holy crap. Until actually doing this video, I had no idea that Atzi had so many debuffs in her kit. Now on to teams. This should be fairly easy. She loves Licha, they're besties. With all her lightning specific debuffs, she pairs super well with any lightning DPS. So yes, the 2 people out there that are using Sin, she would also pair well with her. But it's not just lightning DPS. She does a ton of generic debuffs, so much so that she takes any DPS to the next level. But she doesn't heal, so pair her with a Logos, or a Ninsar if you're feeling confident. Not sure about Asti? She could work, but only if you really need the heals. If not, there are better options. If on the other hand you're too good for heals, just go DPS, Atzi, 0, or DPS, Atzi, Viola. I feel like a kamikaze team like that could only work with Atzi in it because of all those debuffs. And a final note, she'll crush in boss content. Just saying. And with that being said, I'm gonna fly. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.